There have been many harrowing executions carried out upon people throughout the centuries, but one of the most disturbing has to have been the execution of Alice Blunden. She died in the year 1674, and she was a woman who is remembered in history for being buried alive. Alice was a victim of what is known as premature burial, and this was a harrowing experience for her, and the story of Alice's demise and death is one which is considered one of the most disturbing within British history. But what actually happened? To support that scrim, click subscribe. Alice Blunden, or Alice Davies, was a daughter of John Davies, and she married a man named William Blunden from Basingstoke on the 3rd of November 1656. The pair became a well-established local family, and they were by all accounts known by many within the town. But they began to get involved in some different legal issues involving property within the town of Basingstoke, but roughly 18 years after the final records were written documenting Alice Blunden's life, a shocking story emerged. The detailed description of the death of Alice Blunden emerged around the year 1675, and it was published again later in 1748. According to this account, William Blunden, Alice's husband, was a maltster involved in producing wheat for alcohol, and his wife, Alice, was described as a fat and gross woman who had accustomed herself many times to drink brandy. One evening she drank a large amount of poppy water, and with this she became so drunk that she fell into a deep sleep and could not wake up. Because of this, an apothecary was summoned, and they came to the conclusion that Alice Blunden was dead. Her husband had a lot of business in London, and he ordered Alice's funeral to be postponed until he returned. However, Alice's family stated that, the season of the year being hot, and the corpse fat, it would be impossible to keep her. And with this, Alice's family went ahead with the burial of her. She was then buried in a grave without delay, but a few days later some boys were playing in a graveyard near to Alice's grave, and they then heard a creepy sound coming from one of the graves. They heard a moaning and a groaning, and with this they went to tell people what they had heard, and the townspeople could not believe them. When they inspected the graves themselves, they heard a noise and opened the grave of Alice Blunden. What these people found was shocking, and Alice's body was found to have been most lamentably beaten, and she was bruised and battered, and this was considered a result of the injuries she had inflicted on herself, trying to escape her buried alive fate. But the doctor could not detect any signs of life once the grave was opened, and she was then buried back in the graveyard for the evening, with a coroner being summoned the next day. When the people returned, they found that she had torn off great part of her winding sheet, scratched herself first in several places, and ripped off her own mouth. It was all in gore and blood. Alice Blunden was definitely dead. It was stated that she had been alive when she was interred and buried in a grave, and that she was a victim of being buried alive, as she had fallen into a comatose state because she drank too much. She had been deeply unconscious by the alcohol consumption, but when she woke up in the grave she could not get out and died from this ordeal. Because of this, the town actually fined many of the people involved in her burial for neglect. She was a woman who was buried alive, and Alice Blunden could not escape her ordeal and had to succumb to it. Thanks for watching. To support that scrim, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thanks so much for watching.